financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, it's college time for your kid. You got issues. And also, side issue, I'm disabled. How do I pay for my kid's college? Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here, and thank God all of my kids are out.
Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken. Almost out of college.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Got one almost out, one going in, and I'm disabled. How do I pay for my kids' college? Isn't paying for your kids' college a disability even?
If not, we will create one.
It's certainly a financial
Just
disability.
the thought of it creates a disability.
Right.
And my kids are all grown and out of college, fortunately. But then the grandkids are going to be going to college. So,
Yes, but fortunately, that is not your responsibility, and as we will talk about later, nor should it be.
Jeff, and I'm sure we're going to hear from you on that topic.
So
Jeffrey
glad
K.,
I'm not in your family lifeline.
little update.
Hi.
What's new in the Social Security disability world? Any updates for us?
Well, a couple things. So Social itself, it is getting quicker overall from soup to nuts. From when you file your initial application, if you get denied, there's this reconsideration phase. If you get denied, you're going to have a hearing. That whole process, though, has shrunk down. I used to tell people it would take 2-ish years, 2.5 years. That whole process now is probably a year to tops a year and a half. It's shorter than that, though.
Well, that's a good
Although-
improvement.
Do you relate that? Is that because of A, claims being reduced, or B, more efficiency of the system, or a combination?
Yes, and I think that COVID certainly helped move more hearings in, although people objected to them. I think overall they've been able to cover more hearings because in the era of COVID now, most hearings are done by way of conference call, so they
More
are able
efficient.
to, they're trying to be more efficient doing them that way. I think there's been a downtick a little bit, surprisingly so, in terms of the filing of cases. So overall, and they've been a little bit more efficient. They've farming out offices that are heavier to other offices because it's a federal system, so any office could theoretically hear your claim.
Quick question. Have you dealt with what about long COVID? Is that a basis of a disability claim? Have you seen it?
It's starting to be. I mean, still, COVID is relatively novel, and with regard to Social Security, you have to be unable to work for 12 months or longer. But now we are coming to that point now where the people early on with COVID starting to see those cases where people have long COVID. Now, the difficulties sometimes are the proofs, because a lot of times with COVID, there aren't a lot of objective tests, objective findings to say, yep, this is still long COVID. So that's the difficulty you have. So it requires a lot of these people.
Documentation.
Exactly. Hospitalizations, seeing their doctors, documenting their symptoms, things of that nature. So
Yeah,
it's coming.
It's an interesting one. All right, so let's talk college.
Wait, one second. Are you seeing an uptick in claims for mental disability relating from the stresses out of working from home, being stuck at home, the COVID-related symptoms on that level?
I think just in general, I would agree. I think just life in general, and I think that when we talk this time on the show about economic issues and them getting worse, I think overall it's paying a toll on everyone. All these different issues are starting to create more mental health difficulties.
Is there a separate niche where you see an increase in lawyers who are partners having mental problems and dealing with and coping with the stresses imposed by other partners of the law firm?
Not a question. That's always existed, and we'll talk more later.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, now, let's talk college time. What issues come to mind? I'll throw them out.
Where's
and
the
we'll talk
money
about it.
coming from?
Student loans, what's going to happen? Because everything is about this deferment that's going on, how long is it going to go? How do I pay for college going forward? Should I require my kid to work while going to college?
Yep.
And should I buy the Met?
Yep.
So, what do you want to start with first?
Well, I think I'm going to start with
Free for all,
a
whatever you got.
slightly different aspect of I want everybody whose kids are, you're getting your kids ready to go to college to re-examine whether or not the 4-year model where your kid goes off to school is the right choice today for you, for your financial future. If you are going to be paying for college, your kid's college, and you're doing it by borrowing money, whether it be a student loan, borrowing against your house, putting it on your credit cards, whatever it is you're thinking about doing, if you're going to be taking away from your financial future and your ability to retire, maybe you need to reevaluate whether or not your child should be going away for 4 years. Maybe they should be staying home for the first 2 years and going to community college. Live at home, save a considerable amount of money on those first 2 years, and then let them go away. It's not necessarily what your child wants, but
You're saying you don't need, you're saying give some thought as to whether the 4-year away at college experience is right for your kid or for you, really.
Right.
It's probably right for the kid.
I don't know if it's right for the kid either. But
there's a lot of issues in that, so you've just, a lot of issues. First of all, more importantly, is that trade schools are a great option. Everyone thinks you've got to go to college and then go from there. Trade schools are a phenomenal option. We're always going to need heating and cooling guys. We're always going to need plumbers. We're always going to need people in the trades. And I don't think enough kids are thinking about that as options. So I think that's a less expensive option. These kids can get out and earn a real salary much quicker. Second of all, going back to college, I think people have to make better choices in terms of college and not just assume that going to one of these Big Ten schools or some other school is the right choice. Go to a less expensive school, get that same undergraduate degree, because in life, a lot of it is what you do post-college, not necessarily where you went to college. I think the four of us can agree that we haven't been asked by any clients in the last 30 years where we went to college. It's irrelevant. It's what you do with it afterwards.
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a little braggadocio that you get by the school that you graduated from. But that being said,
Well, wait a second. Let me guess. You graduated from Oakland University.
not a chance. But it's an excellent
Wayne
university.
State University.
Not a chance, but it's an
Michigan
excellent
State
university.
University.
No, but my
No,
daughter
but-
did.
Wait, University of Michigan.
Go Blue.
Oh, and there's a little braggadocious that goes with that?
Shocking.
Absolutely.
Shocking. We'll take a break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend some Masco Law.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Now that we've all figured out where Brian went to college, let me share. Let me kind of take a point on what you're saying. Is I kind of did what you were saying. It evolved my own way. I grew up in a family and in a neighborhood where everyone went to college for 4 years. That was where you were going when you finished high school. So I left from high school to Michigan State for my first year, and then I said, you know what? I don't need this college. I'm going to go off and I'm going to go into the tennis business. I had an opportunity, and I dropped out of school after freshman year, moved to Minnesota, and I was teaching as a tennis pro, trying to actually build a indoor tennis club. That was hot back in the early 70s. And I spent 3.5 years working. And then I picked up and I went to University of Minnesota for picked up a couple classes along the way. And then after 3.5 years, all of a sudden I said, you know what? This work thing is not going all that great. I don't see my future going where I want it. My friends are all starting to graduate college. And I then quit my job. I moved back home. My parents were living in a condominium. I moved back home and I slept on the couch as my living room. The closet in the front hall was where I put all my clothes, and I went to college from there. And I went to Wayne State, so I was not paying room and board because I was on a very thin budget. And when I went back to school in that environment, I was serious about school. It was all about grades. I wanted to go to law school, and I had a mental commitment to school that that's where I wanted to be. I wasn't just going to college because I was 19 or I was 21 and I was told to do it. And I had a much better experience as a result of it. I was not a serious student that freshman year at Michigan State. I was a party animal. When I came back, I was at school at 7 o'clock every morning. I wanted to beat traffic.
That's a maturity factor that you get as you get older. But the reality is that parents need to start thinking about guiding their children rather than just saying go to college and go.
Yeah, and the trade idea is also good. You don't want to do is this. You don't want to go burn the money on a 4-year degree and then decide that what you want to do is be a plumber. And being a plumber is a perfectly good occupation. It's you can work for somebody if you want, or you can start your own business. You can grow it. You can build it into your own little empire. It's heating and cooling. All of those, auto mechanics. All of those create entrepreneurial opportunity for someone that wants it. It's not like a bad thing to do. And a lot of people migrate to that after they've I don't want to say wasted the money, but they've spent the money on a 4-year degree that they're not really using. And the cost of that 4-year degree, they're struggling with how to pay for it, whether it's their student loans or their parents went, basically into poverty to pay for the college. Those are tough issues.
But that poverty, that issue of parents going into poverty or giving everything to their children and not protecting themselves is coming up more and more. There are so many people that I see that come in to see me that they have taken out these parent plus student loans on the belief, of course, that when Junior gets out of college, Junior's going to pay those student loans. I got news for you. Junior's not paying those student loans. 50% of the time, Junior doesn't make enough to keep a roof over their head.
Let's talk about the Met. See, and that goes. Here's why I thought about the Met. Michigan Education Trust. It's coming up, I think, on its 30-year birthday or something like that. The Met allows you to purchase a as many semesters as you want, but you can purchase a 4-year degree for your child. Current costs now, if the child is an infant, is $60,000, $61,760 to pay for a 4-year degree up front.
So now think
about
about
that.
that.
A lot of money to write a check
No,
for.
but that's an infant, okay? 18, 19 years later, they're going to college. So that's today's college costs paying for tomorrow's college costs, which will be double that or triple that.
Or triple. If you finance it, it's a 15-year purchase plan at $500 a month. I bought a Met for my daughter. I think she was 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I paid $504. I financed it. It only was 4 years at the time. So that shows you how much the cost of college has increased then. But it was still a blessing that I had done that. And I remembered when I did it, it was painful paying the $504 every month. And in my mind, I was putting the money there into a 529 rather than putting it into the market, into a savings account. And we had a bowling team. And one of the guys on my bowling team was always big on the market. And he was always telling me how much money he was making in the market every month. It was part of my bowling week. I would have to hear the market report from my friend, which would just grind me. I wouldn't say anything because I wasn't putting a dime into the market. I was paying for the Met for my kid. And then what happened in that particular case was, it was early on, the market had that big crash in October of whatever year it was.
08.
Yeah, okay. And he kind of got wiped out on his savings in the market. And my Met just kind of was like the turtle in the hair, the turtle that just kind of kept going and covered the 4-year degree. So I came out good on that deal. But I remember grinding my teeth every Tuesday night, hearing about all the money I wasn't making in the market that I should have been if I was putting it there. So the Met's a great thing. But how I thought about it was this way. A lot of times the grandparents end up guaranteeing the loans for their kids for college, or the parents do it. If you want to help your kid for college, you need to have the foresight to do it early and do it by way of a Met. And that way you're paring the expense at the bare minimum rather than paying through the nose in the form of a student loan with interest at current rates of tuition. We'll take a break. We'll come back and stay on this.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Simasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, we'll get through this, we'll get through this.
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Time for announcements. So I remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call our offices, 888-235-HELP, or go online, and there's boxes to click to sign up for a free consultation. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat or Jim Samasco, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go online, check out the free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so what do you think of my Met idea?
I think the Met is a wonderful idea. I actually purchased it for both of my children when they were very young also. So it was very beneficial. And if you can put aside the money, the problem is as a young couple, young person with a young child, it's very difficult to find that money.
I see the young couple always having the hard time. I had the hard time with that concept in where I was then. But I'm also thinking about it from the grandparent standpoint. If you're a grandparent and you're financially in a good position, I'm not saying a great position, but things are on track. If you look and you say to yourself, based upon what my kids are earning, what their professions are, what their jobs are, I realize that when my grandchild gets to college, funding their education is going to be a big problem for my kids, for my children to pay for. And if it's going to be a big problem for them to pay for, they're going to probably come to me for help. If that's your situation, what would be a smarter play would be when your grandchild is born, buy that 15-year commitment on the Met, pay $500 a year for $500 a month, and cover their college, so that when they get to college, they're not coming back to you to say, college, Dad, is $100,000 a year per child. I need some help. I can cover 20. Can you cover the other 80?
And remember, this
You'd
Met,
be better off having bought the Met.
yeah, the Met actually only covers tuition.
Right.
It doesn't
not
cover room and
board.
board. And room and board has gotten outrageous.
Yes.
It's and it doesn't matter what college it's at.
No,
it's
out
crazy.
of control.
All right, so something to think about. That's all. I mean, these are hard problems, but you kind of have to try and say to yourself, where is my granddaughter going to be? Where are my kids going to be? And where am I going to be from the standpoint of helping them? Because it's real easy to say, well, that's your problem. I'm not paying for it. It might be nice to be able to say that, and Brian can probably actually do it and live by it, but a lot of people can't. And you have to look at realistically where you're going to be at and what's the smartest way of addressing the issue. But what about student loans? Let me just kind of turn that to you. Do you think, is this deferment going to end?
Yes.
And then what's going to happen, and how do we deal with that problem? Because we got a couple minutes left.
The deferment will end. It's supposed to end by October, I think, of this year. It'll probably get extended off till, I'm guessing, till January of 2023. At that point, all those student loan payments are going to start coming due. You're going to see student loans go back to being the highest defaulted type of loan in the United States. And
What deferment you think? Do you think they'll just write off $10,000, $15,000 per loan?
No, I don't think they're going to end up doing that. Everybody says, oh, that's what they'll do, but they're not. The government is not going to end up writing off the student loan.
What do you guys think?
I can't imagine it. They talked about up to $50,000.
For certain people who had been paying on 10 years and aren't getting headway, that's what they've been talking about. And there's a lot of backlash on that, and people are pissed. Well, I paid for my student loans.
First
Why
of
did
all,
they get a break?
when midterms come, if the Republicans gain control of the House, then there's never a chance that Congress is going to do anything to eliminate it. And I don't see anything getting passed between now and then.
And the hard thing on the deferrals is, the kids are like, oh, I don't have to pay because it's deferred, but the interest is accruing and going up.
Interest is stopped.
So at the moment,
federal.
interest is not accruing on federally backed student loans. But that's going to end also.
Well, not according to some of the statements that I'm getting.
So it depends on the type of student loan.
Are they federal?
They're federal student loans.
Depends on the loan type, but most federally backed student loans have no interest.
Because
accrued.
if you're in a deferral and interest isn't being deferred, that's not a good thing
And
at all.
they don't give you
That's
a
just
payment option.
It's just putting you further in debt.
But on the other hand, when you come out, if you can avoid having parents co-sign, the income-based repayment programs that are out there are really beneficial and allow people to afford.
So apply for
And pay what
those
they
and
can
make sure you
afford.
pursue them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chapter 13 is a remedy, and maybe we'll see a revision of the Bankruptcy Code creating dischargeability on student loans rather than, to me, that's a more logical way of addressing student loans than just canceling the debt.
I agree.
There has to be a need basis to cancel the debt. The doctor that's earning big money shouldn't have his student loans canceled. It's common sense. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.